Welcome to AI Dispatch, your channel for the latest AI videos on YouTube. If you don't want to miss these updates, please like, subscribe, and share. Today's video comes from a16z's featuring Mike Cannon-Brookes, the co-founder and CEO of Atlassian. He presents a technical argument that challenges 6 decades of software design assumptions. Every application built from 1960 to 2022 functioned as a passive repository, and we are now entering an era where those repositories perform labor autonomously. His analysis reveals a pricing paradox embedded in enterprise software economics that destabilizes billion-dollar revenue models. Let's establish his credentials before examining his framework. Our speaker is Mike Cannon-Brookes, co-founder and CEO of Atlassian. He founded the company in 2002 and grew it into a collaboration software giant that powers millions of teams with tools like Jira and Confluence. Currently spearheading Atlassian's AI strategy, here is his take on the future of software. Mike Cannon-Brookes opens with a historical claim that reframes the entire arc of computing. He states that from 1960 through 2022, software served a single function, digital storage. We converted paper records into databases. The interaction model remained unchanged. Humans requested information and systems retrieved it. No computation occurred beyond lookup and display. His assertion carries weight because it isolates the functional role of software across 6 decades. Whether the system was a mainframe or a cloud application, the underlying purpose was retrieval, not execution. This distinction becomes critical when he describes the transition now underway. Software is shifting from passive infrastructure to active labor. The database no longer waits for queries, it executes tasks autonomously. This transformation exposes a structural flaw in how enterprises have priced software for years. Alex Rampell from a16z's introduces a concept he calls the Locksmith Paradox, which reveals an economic illogic embedded in human purchasing behavior. The scenario: a locksmith opens your door in 30 seconds and charges $500. You feel cheated. Another locksmith struggles for 9 hours, breaks tools, and finally succeeds. You pay $500 and add a tip. The service quality was objectively worse in the second case, yet the customer perceives it as more legitimate. Rampell argues this paradox underpins the entire SaaS pricing model. Companies charge per seat not because seat count correlates with value delivered, but because it satisfies a psychological need for fairness. Large organizations expect to pay more than small ones, regardless of actual usage or benefit. This pricing structure creates vulnerability. Rampell segments SaaS companies into 3 categories based on how AI threatens their revenue models. The first category faces existential risk. If a company charges per seat and those seats directly produce measurable output, such as customer support agents resolving tickets, AI can eliminate the need for human seats entirely. Revenue collapses because the pricing unit disappears. The second category remains insulated. Systems like Workday charge per employee, but employee count is independent of AI automation. The per seat fee functions as what Rampell terms a fairness tax. The number of employees at a large enterprise does not change because AI handles background checks faster. The pricing survives because it was never tied to labor in the first place. During this discussion, Mike Cannon-Brookes interjects with humor. After hearing Workday cited repeatedly as an example, he laughs and remarks that Anil, Workday's CEO, seems to be absorbing a lot of hypothetical criticism in this conversation. Shifting from economics to engineering capability, Cannon-Brookes addresses the current enthusiasm for vibe coding, the belief that non-technical users will soon build enterprise software through conversational prompts. He grounds his skepticism in personal experience. He mentions that he worked as a developer around 2002 and jokes that his skills are so outdated he would not be hired today. He adds that if an AI were assisting him, it should be intelligent enough to recognize his background and avoid referencing modern frameworks he has never used. This history informs his position on vibe coding. He states plainly that the idea of building his own enterprise software through prompts is terrifying. His reasoning centers on what he calls edge cases beneath the surface. A simple app for booking a Miami conference room might be achievable through vibe coding, but an ERP system managing payroll across 50 tax jurisdictions cannot be. Professional software is not a collection of features. It is a repository of handled exceptions accumulated over decades. The institutional knowledge embedded in legacy code is too dense to replicate via natural language. He predicts AI will enable extensibility, small custom applications built on top of established platforms, but will not replace the core systems of record because the complexity is irreducible. This leads to a critique of terminology that Cannon-Brookes finds obsolete. He describes a conversation about generational disconnect, where his children see a floppy disk icon and ask what it represents, even though they understand it means save. He applies the same logic to the term system of record, which he argues has lost its relevance. A business is not a static database. Cannon-Brookes insists that companies are collections of processes, not archives. This distinction matters because it changes how we design software. If the goal is to support processes rather than store records, the architecture must prioritize workflow automation over data retrieval. He introduces a framework for categorizing work based on constraints. Input constrained work, such as legal review or customer support, aims for efficiency. The objective is to handle the same volume with fewer resources. Output constrained work, such as software development or marketing, aims for volume. The objective is to produce more, not to reduce cost. This distinction has direct implications for AI deployment. In input-constrained domains, AI reduces headcount. In output-constrained domains, AI does not eliminate jobs. It increases what those jobs produce. The result is not cost savings, but output explosion. Cannon-Brookes shares a detail from his own career evolution that illustrates this shift. He describes moving from hands-on coding to leading workshops and strategy sessions with customers. He brought on a technical co-founder to handle core engineering while he focused on helping teams deploy AI effectively. This personal trajectory mirrors the broader transition he predicts for the industry. The conversation then addresses a gap between model capability and user behavior. The host raises a scenario where users are given access to an all-powerful chatbot. Cannon-Brookes responds with dry humor, noting that when users receive unlimited power, their first request is often to tell me a dad joke. This observation highlights a design challenge that has nothing to do with intelligence. The bottleneck is not what the AI can do, it is what users know to ask and whether they trust the response. He argues that the industry obsesses over making models smarter while ignoring the real problem, discoverability and trust. He describes the concept of human agent loops. If an agent acts with full autonomy, users panic and revoke permissions. If it requests approval too frequently, it becomes an annoyance. He uses a vivid comparison. Orchestrating multiple AI agents is like managing 50 interns who collectively ask 50 questions per minute. The solution requires designing what he calls an interrogation interface. Users need a way to inspect, verify, and understand what the agent did without being overwhelmed by granular details. This is a design problem, not a capability problem. Cannon-Brookes provides a concrete example from Atlassian's own product development. When they shipped agents in Jira, user testing revealed a critical balance. Too much transparency about the agent's process overwhelmed users. Too little transparency eroded trust. Their current approach allows users to chat with the agent while it works, asking questions to build confidence in real time. Without solving this interface challenge, he warns, all the computational power in the world remains effectively useless. Users will be paralyzed by a blinking cursor, unable to command the intelligence available to them. If you're interested in the video featured in this episode, click the link below to watch the original.